I never got into that position to be a cute little face on TV, and maybe they let me host the Today Show and I could do some little cooking segments. Like, that was never it. I was there to hold the line for community, to bear witness to politics and policy, and to create a platform. I was there to disrupt the space.
Hey, y'all. So, y'all know I've been in this book deal forever. Hey, Nicole, that's my editor. I promise you, I'm almost done. But my book is all about Black women. It's called We Are Like Those Who Dream, Black Women's Blueprint for a New Power. And yeah, a whole lot keeps happening to Black women, so I keep going back and revisiting the manuscript, which is why it's not done yet. But let me tell you what never changes about us. We are experts at taking shit and spinning it into gold. And you know our secret weapon? Sisterhood. People like my girl Tiffany Cross, who'll be on today's show, are the epitome of what sisterhood is. Our collective, the Machetes, y'all remember them from last season. We cut through the bullshit, and we're ready always to do that at a moment's notice. I'm just saying, the rest of the world could learn something from us. Not just the Machetes, but Black women altogether. On the show today, we have author and journalist Tiffany Cross on how to love Black women through this unemployment crisis with tips from her new book, Love Me, a letter to Black women in a toxic country, career, and relationship. Then we're going to dive into some untrending news with my group chat bestie and professor extraordinaire, Dr. Brittney Cooper. Hey y'all, today's guest, Tiffany Cross, my girl, is a broadcast journalist who covers stories on racial inequality in politics, media, and culture. And 4 years ago, her MSNBC show, The Reconnection, which I loved, I know you did too, was unceremoniously canceled. Now, her new book, Love Me, a letter to Black women in a toxic country, career, and relationship, explores that moment, not just in her personal life, but in the context of the broader ways that Black women have been dispossessed by the U.S. in recent years. It's a reckoning with media, power, race, and the radical proposition that Black women deserve to be loved by their country, by their institutions, their communities, and most importantly, by themselves. Tiffany, my boo, welcome to Undistracted. We're glad to have you back.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I wanted to be on the Webby award-winning Undistracted podcast, girl. So congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you for all of your support. Listen,
Yes.
we're no cross connection, but we are always glad to have you here. Tiffany. Speaking about places to be, normally I ask people how they're doing in 3 words, but I got to ask you, how happy were you that you were not at that damn Correspondents dinner on Saturday, whatever day that was?
You know, I feel like no one should have been there.
That part.
You know, I think it's just kind of ridiculous to invite someone who literally calls the press the enemy of the people. And not only him, but even you had Brendan Carr at the table. Carr, who uses his position to threaten legacy media outlets. But, you know, I think most importantly, it highlights the disconnect between what is really happening and the fear that so many people have. And for a lot of people in legacy media who don't look like us, this is kind of a game. And it's, you know, the little back and forth with Trump, and they don't really have skin in the game, pun intended. And it feels so disrespectful, but it really highlighted for me, you know, a multi-decade career in which I remember navigating that space with people, even pre-Trump, you know, even just, you know, looking at the political landscape in the country and being expected to swallow my identity because that was being unbiased, right? It didn't really happen. I'm shocked that they want to do it again. I think most people in America look at that and it continues to erode the distrust that we have in some of these legacy media outlets. And I'm increasingly like banned from these spaces, you know, and I think if you know, you have done my show, Brittany, many times. You're a regular guest. But even before that and after that, when I'm a guest on other people's shows, I conduct myself with dignity, professionally. I, you know, articulate points. But the challenge is the points I'm articulating do not center the comfort of whiteness. And so because of that, there is this effort to, you know, I'm considered a controversial guest. Scott Jennings can, you know, practically be a co-host on the network. But the things I say are considered controversial. So I heard a rumor that he refuses to be seen with me, and I have not been invited to the network since, which is,
Oh, well,
yeah,
let's
it's
talk about that
interesting.
tea. Isn't it fascinating how when all you do is get up there and spout facts and tell the truth, that is seen as a threat in a country that wants to maintain a veneer of respectability, and politeness, right? That
Yeah,
allows that veneer, of course, allows supremacy, patriarchy, heteronormativity to flourish, and Christian
yeah.
nationalism is thriving under that veneer. That's why you can have folks get all dressed up and act like it's a regular old correspondence dinner.
Yeah, and I would argue that the oxymoronic term Christian nationalism isn't really it's a misnomer. And I write a lot about that in the book. I mean, that is kind of our heartbreak that we're navigating. I know for a lot of Black women, we've never felt so unloved, undervalued, and unappreciated. And so I write the book in three sections: our labor, because we pour our
Mm-hmm.
love into our careers, and our careers are not pouring love back into us; our land, because we pour our love into a country that is damn sure not pouring love
Mm-hmm.
back into us; and our love,
Mm-hmm.
because we love our counterparts, but we don't
Mm-hmm.
always feel love back. I won't say that we're not
Mm.
loved back. We don't always feel love back. And so there's so much pain that we're navigating. And Britt,
Yeah.
so often when we talk about us as a community, and particularly Black women, we're talked about as a political commodity. You know, we're the
Mm.
92%, we're doing this, we're doing that. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole human being here. And I know
That's
for
right.
me, my heart was broken. And so I have spent years trying to piece myself together. You know, it was a heartbreak from when my show was canceled.
Mm-hmm.
That happened to be the time when the country was like, F you, Black women. You know, we don't need these Black women in these corporate
Mm-hmm.
positions. And at that time, someone I was dating, it was coming to an end. And it just felt like, am I being punked? Like, I can't believe all these
Mm.
things are happening. And our mutual friend, Van Newkirk, an editor at The Atlantic, we had lunch, and he was saying, damn, you sound like every Black woman I know right now. You should write something
Yeah.
about this. And I sat down to write, and I think within a day I had 5,000 words, but I had to take time and
Wow.
research and, you know,
Yeah.
dig into things. I didn't want to just tell my story. I wanted to collectively tell our story. And
Yeah.
in doing that, I needed to really look at some historic context of the country, revisit our ancestral lands, and
Mm-hmm.
also consider and think about you know, to disrupt this narrative that we are at war with our Black men. You know, it's our highest
Mm.
honor to love our Black men,
Mm-hmm.
but to really dissect, like, what is the pain there? And this ain't a book about Black men's pain, but I hope a Black man writes that, because I would love to read it. But it is a
Yeah.
book that acknowledges that there is pain, because we
Yeah.
carry ours and we carry theirs too. So
Yeah.
I tell a lot of my business. I mean, a lot of this stuff is not going to be a surprise to you, Britt, because we in a group chat
Sure.
like this all day.
But
But for
it's tea
people,
though.
it
Yeah.
is tea. I talk about what happened at MSNBC. I name names. I get very specific, and I talk about the relationship, the dating I was in, which is, you know, apropos given what happened with Meg the Stallion and
Listen,
what's his name? I don't even remember the boy. Clay something.
we
I
don't
don't know.
it-
It don't
we
matter.
don't
It
you don't
don't
need to
matter.
remember his name. You just
Yeah,
need to know I'm gonna throw
exactly.
this book at him if I ever see him and just hope it knocks him upside the
Precisely.
head, knocks some sense into him. But
But it's very
one
parallel. It's very
it
parallel.
is
Like,
very
you know,
parallel.
this guy
Right.
who I was dating, like, after all this time, was like, oh, I don't know if I want to be monogamous. And
Yeah.
so it's a very common story, sadly, but the heartbreak
Mm-hmm.
of all of that happening. So imagine Meg getting fired from Broadway, you know, and the music
Yeah.
industry saying, we don't want you, Meg. And then Clay
Yeah.
is like, I don't know if I want to be monogamous. And then the country is
Yeah.
like, we don't like anybody who looks like you, Meg. That's what
Yeah.
it felt like I was going through. And so the journey, already there's a journey to like try to love myself, and
Mm-hmm.
to have that happen while you're on that journey, it's either going to, you know, just pull you deeper into darkness, which happened to me. From
Mm-hmm.
the depths of my darkness, I had to pull
Yeah.
myself out. And when I climbed out, I saw other Black women around me
Yeah.
ready to hold me. And in the depths of my darkness, I saw other Black women around me crouched in the darkness with me. So I was never
Mm-hmm.
alone, but that feeling of being alone and saying the ugly thoughts that we can have about ourselves out loud. I don't just say them out loud, I
Yeah.
put them in print. So
Yeah.
that is really what I write about. But it's always embarrassing when your friends, you know, are reading your book, because I'm like, Brittany gonna be like, yeah, girl, I know. Yes, I already know. Scroll, scroll, keep turning
You
pages.
no. It shouldn't be embarrassing because that kind of vulnerability that kind of honesty and transparency is life-saving for people. I mean, you're talking about writing your own way through, but people are going to be reading their way through.
Yeah.
And you identify a lot of moments in this book that feel very familiar to all of us. Like you said, this is timely for this moment with what happened to Meg, with what happened to Serena Fairfax. Unfortunately, the pain of Black women is always timely in this country, and especially in the last election. So you wrote that when Kamala lost, many of us woke up realizing that this country was really just playing in our faces, and
Mhm.
that your firing, even though it had happened 2 years earlier, carried that same energy. How do you see your experience at MSNBC? Because, like you said, you told the truth and you named names.
Yeah.
How do you see that experience as connected to this broader disappearing of Black women from positions of influence and from the workforce in general?
For me, it did feel for a time like it was only happening to me, which
Mm-hmm.
was, heartbreaking. I mean, I had you and our circle of friends around me
The
holding me
machetes,
up. The
because we cut through the
machetes,
bullshit.
shout out to the machetes. But it was still at the end of the day, it was me by myself. Like
Yeah.
when you go home, and you wake up
Mhm.
on Saturday and you're used to going into a studio, like I had to contend with that. And so I really understood that Kamala's lost because I think we were rational enough people. I don't think that we were Kamala stans, like, yes, she was
Mhm.
well qualified to run this empire, but we
Mhm.
understood that she would be an agent of this empire.
Mhm.
I mean, we vote in for harm reduction. We were not
Mhm.
idealists. Our idea of American exceptionalism does not look like theirs. And so
Mhm.
we understood that one of ours we would hold accountable. I don't want people to misunderstand that this is some book about, oh, the 92% and she shoulda and we coulda. And, yeah, there
Mm.
is an element of that, but to go in the depths of our own humanity and be
Mhm.
able to call out, this is not okay, and to look at this country and answer more honestly. Because quite frankly, a lot of the things that she did on the campaign trail was trying to fit in this, their version of this American fable. And we
Yeah.
should be able
Mm.
to honestly say, yes, of course, this country was founded by racism. This country
Yeah.
was built on the backs of enslavers. The first presidents were enslavers themselves. How
Yeah.
can we even, why is that even a debatable point? So to lean into our authenticity and the truth that we know. And so often we are asked to navigate a space that, oh, don't offend their narrative. Don't disrupt their fable. And
That's why you
I
can't go on TV with Scott Jennings.
Precisely, precisely. And
Yeah.
so you feel it can be infuriating. And so I wanted to say to women, because I believe courage is contagious. And so they
Mm.
can't cancel everybody. And if we lean into who we are
That's right.
unapologetically, and then we will become impenetrable. We will have each other. And so I don't want to be, I'm not so keen on saving something that didn't really serve us. This
Mm.
democracy, I mean, Trump was elected under this
It
democracy.
was.
Roe fell under this democracy.
It did.
Trump is not the first. I mean, we had a Nixon and a Reagan and a Bush under this democracy.
A
So I don't
couple
really
Bushes.
know
Yeah.
precisely. I don't really
Mhm.
know how to navigate or nation build or even come on the other side of this and share space and co-create something with people who do not even see my own humanity, with
Mm.
people who can defend shooting a mother in the face and a nurse in the back, with people who
Mm.
make jokes about innocent folks rotting in El Salvador at CCOP.
Mm.
And I don't want to. And so
Yeah.
with this book, I really try to reflect back our anger, our hurt, our pain, but also give ourselves something to believe in. And that's us, because I know where I
Yeah.
see us, I feel safe. And I just, it was, I think before you ask me to pour an ounce of love into anything else, as
Mhm.
Black women, I had to really take a look at myself. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever, I kind of want to ask you about this because since I tell all my business in the book, I want somebody else to say something too. But it's like I had this container my whole life
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was overflowing because the
Yeah.
the faucet was on and there was no drain, and I just had all
Mhm.
this love, because I think that's what it is about Black women. We don't just have a desire to be loved, we have a
That's
desire
right.
to love.
To
And so
love.
when
Yeah.
you find someone worth it and you want to pour some of this container in
Mhm.
someone else, and they keep like just sucking it, and just kicking it
Mhm.
back and
Oh,
dirtying the
yeah.
water and just making it filthy. At a certain
Listen,
point in my life, the faucet started to, it wasn't a
run
full
dry.
gush, it was
Yeah.
dripping. And then a
Yeah.
drain developed and it was running out. And so it's
Yeah.
less of me to give. It was less of my love. And it was like, oh, I have to pour love into myself again
Mm-hmm.
before. And I think that love starts to drain from birth, as you go through
Yeah.
life. And I had to write about that process
Yeah.
because when you ask, do you love yourself? Of course, Black women are like, yeah, we love ourselves. But when you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, am I living like I love myself? Am I dating like I love
Yeah.
myself? Am I at tables with other women
Yeah.
like I love myself? When they putting down other women, can I love myself and put
Yeah.
down this other
Yeah.
woman?
Yeah.
Even some of the comments on Megan Thee Stallion, where it's like, "Girl, you putting your man on social, and you should have known." I just
Girl.
want to say,
Well,
dude,
you got a whole lot of notches on your bedpost, so don't act like he not
so
going to too.
awful. And those are
Wow.
women who have not yet sought the source of self. They don't love
That's right.
themselves. And
That's
so they
right.
are projecting this very ugly, negative
That's
commentary
right.
on Megan. And I even write about that. I write about how it's sometimes other women
Yeah.
who will tear you down or express judgment.
Dr. Beverly Daniel Tatum talks all the time about white supremacy being a smog. And I really think about all of the systems that harm us as a smog because it means we all breathe them in, even when they are meant for our demise. So if we
Hmm.
breathe in patriarchy, then we breathe out patriarchy on other women, right? When we breathe in Christian nationalism, we can breathe out Christian nationalism in blackface and think that our preacher is really
Yes.
doing something and everybody needs to come to our church name for these four numbers that I won't mention. We'll talk about that on a different episode, right? The Meg stuff woke something up in me because I too have been cheated on and disrespected by a translucent man in boat shoes. It has
Hmm.
happened to me and a whole lot of us. So I think that you telling your business, like I said, is freeing up a whole lot of us. But what's interesting to me is you, in the course of this conversation, keep talking about our and we and us. And still in the book, you had to reckon with when the us didn't feel like an us. You wrote
Hmm.
about when a black woman helped you out early in your career, driving you to work every morning. But you also wrote about the black woman who ultimately signed off on your departure from MSNBC.
Yeah.
You said, quote, "It was a black woman who cleared the path for the attacks." And I know how painful that was. I know how painful it is because I sat and saw it all happening in real time. I'm curious in retrospect how you sit with that dichotomy. What does it say about not just us, but the systems we operate in?
I mean, I think it's a question we have to ask ourselves. Are we fighting in this system to only become them?
Mm,
And, I was thrilled when Rashida Jones was an executive at the company at the time that I was hired. And then she became president, I think maybe 3 or 4 months after my show
mm-hmm.
started to air. And I was so happy for her. And it was a difficult moment because it's like, if are we happy for the face in that
Mm,
space? Because I don't know if that's enough. We
mm,
have to start celebrating the change that people make. And this is kind of analogous to the vice president's run as well. We are
yeah,
not voting for you to uphold the same things that they upheld. We don't just
yeah,
need a black woman to hold that space. In fact, we want you to be different. Rashida was really disappointing because she was more overseer than she was freedom fighter. And she,
mm,
made a lot of trouble for a lot of people. And so, it was frustrating because at the time there were some women who were, loyal to power and, trying to defend her. And I just had to sit back and bide my time and be quiet.
yeah,
And, just I think a month or so ago, it broke that she would be working with Piers Morgan. Um,
mm,
and I just, I said, who people are is always going to be who they are. And I just can't imagine, Britt. I cannot think of a paycheck large enough. I cannot think of
mm,
a grand enough mansion or house that would make me even consider walking away from the inherent, immediate, understood love I have from my
mm,
community. I never got into that position to be a cute little face on TV, and maybe they
yeah.
let me host the Today Show and I could do some little cooking segments. Like, that was never it. I was there to hold the line for community, to bear witness to politics and
Yeah,
policy, and to create a platform. I was there to disrupt the space. I was there
yeah.
to reflect back to people our lived experience.
I think that the grace that you showed her and a lot of people in the book is really a testament to why you needed to be the person to write this. Because even as people made unfortunate choices on their journey and their unfortunate choices impacted your journey, you are still trying to see your way through to how we come to a place of not mere survival, but thriving as a people. There's a moment in the journey where a trip to Ghana helps you heal and really reclaim your purpose. What was it about being on the continent, back in the motherland, that helped you find your way back to yourself? What really changed as a result of that moment?
So I try my best to articulate it in the book, but there is something that you just cannot articulate about the generational and ancestral connection we have to West Africa, really. I mean, because that was a slave port where so many of our ancestors passed through. But just in the tangible sense, to land in a space where everyone looks like you and you don't have to question anyone's motivation. And not only do they look like you, but they greet you with open arms. And they look at you a little strange. Like, it's so strange that you choose to continue to live alongside your colonizers when you could come home, like, and they say Akwaba, welcome home, sister.
Yeah.
They want you to know that you are home. And I realized I have gone my entire life and I have never felt that way in America. So I think we must now reckon with this question. And I don't have the answer. I'm not begrudging anyone's answer, but we have to reckon with the question, why are we beholden to this place? Yes, I understand our ancestors built this place, but the ancestors had ancestors, did they not? So can we not be beholden to those ancestors and consider the fact that maybe we are not the dream and the hope of the enslaved? Perhaps the dream and the hope of the enslaved was to go home to their home and build something there. But then you have to go further. Are we infected by this American system? Will we go over there and be the gentrifiers? Will we go over there with our American ideals and say, I don't like this music, or I want faster service? Will we expect the whole world to adjust to us? Or can we humble ourselves in the sense of how we coexisted centuries ago? And so those are things that we have to consider as we navigate what happens here next. I was feeling hopeless for a while, but Dr. Greg Carr, an amazing luminary, he's made me feel excited. Dr. Carr. He's so amazing. And he said, this is an exciting time. This is an exciting time because whatever burns down here, we have the opportunity to create something next. And it may not be in your lifetime, in my lifetime, Britt, but you have two Black sons. In their lifetime, they may be the fighters on the front line. Their children will live in a better world, whether that world center here in America or back home in the motherland. But I want that for them. So it's a lot of, the book is not like, here's the answers, guys. Here's the roadmap to Zen. It is a conversation for us to have. But I just want to say that my book tour, it kicks off May 4th in New York with Sunny. And people can go to my website, TiffanyDcross.com, and look at the Love Me book tour to see where I'm going to be next. But please join me on book tour because I really want to have conversations like this. I want to have that everywhere. Every book stop, I'm trying to talk for like 30 minutes and then spend the rest of the time with the audience because I just want to be in conversation with my people right now. That's where I feel safe. That's where I feel loved.
That is so beautiful, Tiff. The website is TiffanyDcross.com, but this is Tiffany the Cross, period. We are so grateful for you. Love Me is coming out real soon. Join her on the book
May
tour.
5th. You can order it now, though. 5th. You can order it now.
Or pre-order it now. Make sure that you've got the book in hand May 5th, and make sure that you buy a few extra copies for the Black women in your life and the people who need to learn how to love Black women a little bit better. Buy them a copy too. Tiffany, thank you for the beautiful
from a Black-owned or independent bookstore, Britt. Our instinct is to go to Amazon, but there are so many Black bookstores across this country.
Bookshop.org, your local Black-owned bookstore. We got Mahogany Books here in D.C. You can hit up Politics and Prose. You can go to Baldwin's. Like, listen, there are lots of options here.
The Doc Shop in Dallas. Yes. Brave and Kind in Atlanta.
Yes. This book is as much a gift as you are. So thank you for continuously giving of yourself, even though we know that the faucet has been threatened to run dry. We're thankful that you turned it back on for us, and we hope to pour into you.
You turn on my faucet. You turn on my faucet. You have said so many things to me.
People gonna think we lovers, Tiff.
We are lovers. We are lovers of each other. Well, because I have videos of you telling me wonderful things about myself when I needed to hear it. There have been times I've been in a bind where I was like, I can't figure out how to create this PDF. And Brittany's like, let me just do this for you real quick. I mean, just honestly,
that ain't no problem.
You're so giving. You created a whole deck for me.
You made sure I wasn't sweaty, child. You were like, what are we doing? Where's the campaign? Let's go. I love you so much. There's safety in
that. I love you back, sis. And I can't wait to see you by the pool.
I'll see you by the pool. Here at Undistracted, we're all about staying, undistracted, finding the balance between being informed, empathetic, and open, and staying, sane. And if you love Undistracted, you're going to love the Meteor newsletter. 3 times a week, it lands in your inbox with enlightening, surprising, and occasionally hilarious perspectives on the news, culture, sports, and the fight for gender and racial justice. You'll get exclusive interviews with women and non-binary people making news, plus elders we look up to like Anita Hill and Gloria Steinem. You'll hear writers like Nona Willis Aronowitz, Julian Escobedo Shepherd, Rebecca Carroll, Shannon Malero, and Jessica Valenti, who all dissect the news, plus a little behind the scenes of what's happening right here at Undistracted. So if you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Head to wearethemeteor.com/newsletters or write down to our show notes and sign up for the newsletter. Trust me, your inbox deserves it. That's wearethemeteor.com/newsletters or the notes on this episode. You can thank me later. So now it's time for the news of the week. And y'all know how we do. Today, I am joined for this UNTrending news segment by my good friend, women's gender and sexuality scholar and author, Dr. Brittney Cooper. Coop, girl, we got so much to talk about. And we first need to begin with my girl, your girl, our girl, Megan Thee Stallion. Okay, if you were living under a rock or you were not perpetually on Threads like I was all weekend, then you might have missed it. So here's what happened. Megan Thee Stallion was dating a man named Klay Thompson. He plays for the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA. This may or may not be important because, frankly, we're going to not commit him to memory. Anyway, they've been dating since last summer. And this weekend, Meg came in hot on her Instagram story saying, and I quote, "Cheating had me all around your family playing house, got cold feet, holding you down through all your horrible, all caps, mood swings and treatment toward me during your basketball season, and now you don't know if you can be monogamous? I need a real break after this one. Bye, y'all." I don't know how you treat a queen like that, but of course the internet went wild on Klay for treating our girl Meg this way. Roll the clip.
You know what, Klay Thompson, this is for you, because here's the thing. When you popped out with Megan Thee Stallion, we all said, okay. We're like, you know what? He's got a good job. Okay, they've got similar interests. Okay. We can make it work. Okay? You should know that. You should know that your face was an unwelcome caveat on what we hoped was a good situation. Don't ever piss me off like this again.
Not ever, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Because the girls were not having it. The guys were not having it. People were bringing out memes saying that Klay looks like the PBS logo. And PBS answered because I think they were right. Coop, you know how I feel about this. But what's your take on why this has the internet so fired up? Because I'm pissed.
Megan is our niece. She's our girl. She's our bestie. We rooting for her. She is genuine. She's about that life. She's committed. She's embodied. She is the birthday, as the kids apparently are saying. And she
the birthday, the gifts, the candles, everything.
The birthday. Okay.
Yep.
And she deserves all the love. And I think the thing that is hard is so many sisters also empathize. So many of us have these stories that just haven't been done wrong. And I think that all over our society right now, everybody is communicating, whether it's politics, it's culture, it's media, it's our own people, that Black women are unlovable, that we are too much. People are trying to suppress Black excellence. And I think so many of us are just like, well, what is it that we have to do in order for y'all to treat us right? Because she literally ticks every box that
everyone
these folks say they want. And it wasn't enough for him to treat her right. And I think our hearts go out to her. And I am also especially mad. As an orphan myself, as a fairly young woman who doesn't have either of my parents living, Megan doesn't have any living parents. And this dude played in her face and, in her words, had her around his family playing house. And now he has ripped that possibility from her. And so it's not just that dudes are like doing this stuff. It's also the cruelty of it. It's the insensitivity of it. It's the lack of discretion of it. And she just does not deserve that. None of us do.
None of us do. And the truth of the matter is, it's not that Megan wasn't enough. It's frankly that Megan was too much. Okay?
right.
Like, let's really get into it, because she was cooking the Thanksgiving dinners, and I already know his daddy is upset he's not gonna get that food next year. She was bragging about him, buying him clothes. She was in her lover girl era, recording songs for him and about him. And yes, she made all of us question our better judgment when she showed up on the carpet with him, but she loved him down and out loud, and was willing to be vulnerable and soft about that love in a way that Black women so often feel like we're not welcome to do. And she was doing all of this while opening Popeyes franchises and putting out clothing lines and putting out new music and guest starring in film and television. I mean, really doing her thing, finding her way to Broadway, as she's starring in Moulin Rouge right now. And the truth is, the power dynamic that so often exists between men and women in intimate relationships is deeply connected to the sexism and the misogynoir and the patriarchy that we were talking about last week.
That's right.
Because men are socialized to believe that they need to take us down a peg if we are getting too big for our britches. And it ain't nobody out there bigger than Meg right now.
That's right.
So here's somebody who's at the end of his career, frankly, in Klay Thompson, who hasn't won a championship in a long time, who been out here messing up, flubbing, and not getting the kind of accolades he deserves, and then he's standing, or that he wants rather, and then he's standing next to somebody who's getting all of the accolades she deserves. So yeah, he probably felt like he needed to cut her down to size. He probably needed to make her feel like, I'm the man around here, right? And I can go do what I want and say what I want to you and do what I want with anybody else. The fact that I don't know a woman who's been in a relationship with a man who hasn't been cheated on means that this is a systemic problem. Y'all are being socialized to be terrible people. Somebody should want to correct that. And just because you cheated and didn't pick up a gun and commit homicide doesn't mean that the system isn't the same. So at the end of the day, I hope Meg takes the very long break that she needs. When she's done, she might want to, holler at a regular dude. Our producer, Doug, is a great guy. He really loves Megan Thee Stallion. I know he would really show up for her. He loves his mama too.
For you, Doug. I mean, might as well.
We love Doug. You know what I'm saying? You gotta judge for yourself. But I have personally seen him rescue an entire family of kittens from a tree and personally clean up the entirety of the last BP oil spill. So, he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Listen, I too witnessed that and can attest.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to show up for our friend Doug, who produces this show so well. And if there's a regular guy out there that you want with a good heart, maybe Doug's your guy. But also, if you just want to be single, we understand that too. Whatever you do, keep taking care of your heart. Keep the music coming, and most importantly, get your rest, sister, because you deserve it.
That's right.
In other news, the fight against deed theft in New York City is finally heating up. Now, for people who don't know, deed theft is real. It's not AI. And it's what happens when scammers falsify records and signatures to change the deed ownership of a house, and then they wait, and they wait, and they wait for that little thing called the statute of limitations to run out before trying to use city police to evict the actual rightful owners. Last week, Brooklyn City Councilman Chi Osei was arrested while protesting outside the home of a family that was being wrongfully evicted by police. Let's take a look. Have mercy. So 2 days after that, Osei was back at the podium with Mayor Zohran Mamdani, helping to announce, actually, let's play that clip too.
Yet we know that injustice persists. That is why today I am proud to announce City Hall will lead that work through the creation of New York City's first ever Office of Deed Theft Prevention.
Do you think that this will be the success that we need it to be? And will we see it around the country?
Listen, one of the things that I think, even to zoom out a bit, is to recognize that the eviction crisis is really at the heart of the way that the state targets Black women. There was a story in the Washington Post some years ago that talked about how while Black men are disproportionately targeted and locked up, Black women are disproportionately targeted and pushed out. And when housing becomes unstable and insecure, that disrupts whole communities. And this certainly is a target for elderly folk, for folk who might have a language language barrier, also a class barrier. And because housing has also been the way that our people have built wealth, deed theft is a
That's right.
particular kind of crime, and we should be outraged about it. And it's happening all over the country. It's happening in New York City. It's happening in places down south where folks had land generations ago, and now big developers want to come into these places and build resorts and hotels and other kinds of things. One of the things that I think in this moment, I haven't shared publicly that, several months ago, I was scammed out of a lot of money. We are all very vulnerable. We are in a moment where all kinds of identity theft, deed theft, all kinds of scam culture has sort of taken root. And I think that some of that is part of what's going on in the country right now, that folks are just trying to get over. And when the leadership at the top is just a walking scam alert all day, every day,
Child.
it begins
Scam
to
lightly.
make it normalizes that we're all going to get got by the system, and that we just need to be okay with it. And so I'm very thankful that New York City in particular has the kind of leadership that sees this and responds with a structure that is designed to address it.
That's
and
right.
put some power behind it. And I hope that it creates a permission structure for folks around the country to recognize that the state actually is, look, when white folks built the state, the one thing that they said it should do is protect property rights. This is how they have terrorized Black communities with property rights. And now
That's right.
we should be able to rely on the state at base level to protect property rights, since property is the one thing that they all seem to value here, even when they're trying to turn people into property. You know what I'm saying?
Come on now. It's not just to take that one home. It's to take the home next door and the home next door and take the entire block until there's a Whole Foods down the street and somebody running with their dog, and the cumbia music is gone, right? The drumming is gone, right? The go-go music is gone as it is in DC, because they are seeking to take that property for themselves, not just house by house, but city by city, block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. That's what they think is going to make America great again. So we need to absolutely attack it at the systems level. I'm glad Mamdani is doing that, and he's doing so many of the things that people said, oh, it's too hard, it's too complicated, there's too much red tape. He's like, no, we can fix the broken elevator at the subway. We can create the Office of Deed Theft and actually get after this thing. Yes, we can get free childcare to people.
Yes.
All of these things that people said was impossible for so long, here's this guy doing it. So I'm hoping that a whole bunch of people keep that same energy. Speaking of good energy, by the way, I'm not even going to hold you. I am not a Swiftie.
No.
I don't even really like that girl half the time. And some of that language is real coded. However, I got to hand it to that girl. Okay, Taylor Swift, however we might feel about you, you and your Swifties did your big one and ignited a huge win for concert goers last week. I spend a lot of my discretionary income on seeing the artists that I love. And after Ticketmaster's site famously crashed and was infiltrated by ticket buying bots during Taylor's Era Tour in 2022, the Swifties banded together and submitted a class action lawsuit against Ticketmaster and its parent company, Live Nation, which included an antitrust lawsuit calling the company an illegal monopoly. This is how you caring for good people. Roll the clip.
How much were your tickets?
600,
900.
430,
3,000 each.
$600.
$700.
440,
$1,000 each.
700 each.
600.
350.
350.
Oh, I cannot say.
What do you mean you can't say?
Child, she said she can't even say because my man be looking at that credit card statement. I don't want to be in no argument, okay? Now the courts are saying that the merger is in fact a monopoly and it must be broken up. There have been accusations of a monopoly when the merger first was proposed back in 2009, but those accusations were not enough to sink the deal. But there's something about those determined Swiftie fans. Am I right? I didn't think they had it in them. But I'm going to give Taylor Swift and her Swifties their single flower for this one because those fees are ridiculous. The monopoly is wild and people just want to be able to enjoy their life. We need some joy right about now and it shouldn't cost $3,000 to get it.
That's right. Look, girls just want to have fun. But I do want to say that I hope that this is also the bellwether of a series of attacks on monopoly capitalism. Monopoly capitalism is one of the worst iterations of capitalism. It destroys innovation. It takes away consumer power. Look, one of the reasons that Black folks are being pushed out of major media platforms is because of the monopoly capitalism that is like consolidating all these huge media companies. So you got this sort of right-wing takeover of CBS of all places.
My God.
That is all a function of monopoly capitalism. It is the thing that prior to the rise of like YouTube and TikTok and all those things also kind of narrowed the scope of hip hop, right? When those conglomerates consolidate all that power, they have a lot of say so over what we hear, who makes it to the mainstream, what kind of messaging catches on. And so this is actually a big deal, and it is a blow in service of democracy. And so you had it exactly right. Karening for good.
Listen, Karen for good, call the manager on their behinds. The truth of the matter is, like you said, Coop, this, again, is a systemic issue. Monopolies and consolidation, particularly of media, of educational entities, of government structures, and of money, is how authoritarians build their thrones. These things are keys to authoritarian regimes. And when you can consolidate the media, when you can consolidate the oligarchs, when you can ensure that not only do the rich get richer, but that the billionaires become trillionaires, and that all of those people are in the pockets of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, that's how the oligarchs work. That's how the authoritarianism functions. That's how the fascism wins. And so, yeah, y'all might just be thinking this is about Taylor Swift tickets or Beyonce tickets or, I don't know, hopefully not Chris Brown tickets, but this is actually much bigger. This is about us being able to enjoy the democracy we say we value, because yes, democracy has everything to do with what is going on with our pockets. And with that, that is our untrending news of the week. Coop, as always, thanks for hooking it up in the chat.
Appreciate you. My pleasure.
We talk about Black women a whole lot over here at Undistracted. And it's not just because I am one, I swear, but I don't apologize for it. We talk about Black women a whole lot over here because we've created a lot. We have built a lot. We've protected a lot. We've loved a lot. We've given away so much of ourselves, of our brilliance, of our creativity, and we haven't always gotten back what we deserve. In fact, sometimes instead of getting back the credit and the honor and the love and care that we deserve, we get disrespect. We get dismissal. We get dispossession. So here we are in a time where Black women continue to be shunned in every single industry and on every corner of the planet. Listen, I'm going to keep talking about Black women. We're going to keep loving on Black women. We're going to keep talking to Black women, for Black women, and speaking up for us always. You know why? Because it's high time that we recognize that if this country, if this world, if any of our government systems and institutions finally decide to do right by Black women, then everybody wins. That's not just me talking. That's the data, baby. So we're going to keep talking about it, because until you do right by Black women, everything you think about going to fail. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being, and thanks for doing. I'm Brittany Packnett Cunningham. Let's go get free.